All right, if you've had your JVL game top machine have that error, that file system corruption error, sometimes it's because of a bad battery, but if you change battery, and as I have, it's this device right here, the security board. I've changed battery, and it keeps giving that file system corruption. It's for some reason not keeping the settings. There could be another issue. Now, I've purchased this other board online, which also wasn't quite working. And when I got it, I saw there was no battery in it at all. They had attached a battery holder with AA batteries, which were corroded. If you ever feel like you want to do this, don't do it. It's not the right voltage. That could have actually caused one of the problems. So I did get the actual real battery, the 3.6 volt lithium battery. The problem with those new batteries is they don't attach the same way. The battery actually comes with flat tabs, and the JVL board wants little pegs. So anyway, let's take this apart. Take out the posts for the sockets, and there's one screw. Sometimes there's a plastic sheet over this. This one didn't have it. So we take the board out and take a quick look, inspect it, see if there's anything burnt or obviously broken. So just the battery's gone. So obviously someone's worked on this because they removed the battery. So if we take a look at the new battery, I mentioned those tabs that it comes with. You can see that there's just these tabs on each side, and there's no place for that to be soldered on the JVL board. So I'm going to have to cut this and crimp it so that it's the right length and that there's a proper pin on the positive side. We'll do that a little later. If you can see how that fits in there. It's not going to go the way it is. The pin on the positive side, which is what I'm pointing there, there's actually, I think, two pins, but only one pin is actually connected to a circuit, and the other pin is just there to hold it. So we really only have to make sure we get that circuit connected pin. And on the negative side, it doesn't have to go through the board. Now, as far as why the boards still have that file system error, I think I might have found the reason why. After I made this video, I realized that either maybe the age of the boards or the constant work actually messes up the traces right at that C9 capacitor. So you can see that there's been work on this board done because the previous owner of the board had soldered that battery holder. So I removed it. And looking, there's a trace that goes to the resistor on the left and that ceramic capacitor on the right. And what I've been finding on this board and the other board that I have is that that C9 trace disintegrates, and you can't see it because the battery's in the way. So we're gonna put this new battery on here, and we're gonna just either with solder or with a piece of wire, just kind of connect them all together. All right, so let's do a quick test first. Continuity test. There's no sound in the video, but you can see the green light on the top of the multimeter showing green when there's continuity. So let us try and see if the resistor and the capacitor have continuity on the battery end, because they all should be connected, and no, they don't. It's completely disconnected. And that's disconnected on the capacitor side, not where the battery was soldered, which was at the resistor. So whoever had this before didn't work, and maybe that's why they're getting rid of everything. So I'm going to prepare the battery. I've already cut the tabs and crimped the positive side into a pin so I can go through the board. Just gonna tin this a little bit to prep it. That's the negative side that's gonna go at the capacitor. So that tab is wide, so I'm hoping it'll be able to make good contact with the capacitor, and I can just use something to jump it over to the resistor. All right, so let's see if that pin fits in there. It kind of was a tight fit, but I crimped it, it went through, and just gonna solder this end, even though there's nothing connecting on this side, just to hold it still. And then we're gonna solder the other end, which will connect the circuit. Now, since someone else worked on this, it was a little difficult. It seemed like some of the traces or the contacts were a little bit on the burnt side. Okay, that's good. It's held in tight. And this one's a little tricky because we have to get in between the battery and the capacitor. But it's been tinned, so I think it just melts together. I was a little sloppy here. I should have changed to a better soldering iron tip, but to be honest, I wasn't that. I didn't feel like this board was that important, or if it's gonna break, it's gonna break. But I was a little generous with the solder there because there's nothing else there except the contacts for the resistor and the capacitor. So I'm just gonna get a little piece of wire, little piece of silver wire, and just connect everything. I'm just basically shorting everything right there because they're supposed to be connected. Yeah, there we go. I burnt the battery just a little bit, but that's okay. So let's do a quick test. We can't test all the components while everything's connected because we're not isolating everything, but we can just test the voltage to make sure the voltage goes through to the other side of the board. 3.6 volts. Right there, we're going to test the contact from the battery on the opposite side of the board. 3.6 volts. Then we're going to test the trace to the first capacitor. It touches down the board and yep, 3.6 volts, so success on that side. And this side, I mean, there's not much, I mean, we can kind of test it. I don't know what readings we're supposed to get, but as long as we can see that everything's connected on the battery end of the resistor and the capacitor, and that there's some reading that's less than the full voltage on the other end, because this is actually a capacitor and a resistor in parallel. So we got about half the volts. I, I think that's good. Yeah, I wasn't willing to take the capacitor and the resistor off to test them individually. If for some reason things don't work again, and I have to replace them, I will. But for now, I think it's probably good. Just make sure there's continuity on this end. And there is, so that's good. And that's really what I was worried about because, as we saw earlier, there was no continuity there. And we can't really test the resistor the way the circuit is built. We're going to get the same reading either way because it's shorted on both ends actually for the resistor and the capacitor. So we can't test them individually. But we can test continuity on that side, and there is. It's a little bit of resistance on that end, which is expected. All right, so let's slap everything back together and turn it on. And if everything is good, then we're not going to get that file system error. So I'm speeding up the video right here. Otherwise, it's going to take a minute. And we should right now get the file system error if there is an error. If not, Everything's good, the battery's working, and we can probably call this game good. And it started and it still has my free credits and everything in there, so everything looks good.